Humans have drastically altered the way rivers work. Civilizations have done this for a very, very long time. But now, as our climate is changing, it's exposing the shortcomings of how we've designed our rivers. And it's not just us who are facing the consequences. The manipulation of our rivers causes huge losses to biodiversity. So often, we've entirely drained away the natural resilience of our rivers and of our wetlands.
So this river, this shouldn't look like this. This straightened, this manipulated concrete river is actually really common. I mean, just picture a river in your mind with those straight banks. That is completely man-made and it's beginning to cause huge problems.
We're going to be taking a look at what humans can do to restore rivers, to alleviate the pressures we put on them and to make them natural again. And we'll be exploring what happens when nature is allowed to take the lead. Brace yourself for this one because I get just a little bit excited at finding some breathtaking beaver habitat.
So I've actually come to the River Exe here in Exeter, in Devon, and I came here off the back of chatting with Sue from Ecology Training UK. They're actually sponsoring this video. I said to Sue that I wanted to make a video about rivers, about river restoration, and she said, Rob, you've got to go to the River Exe. So all of the cool things which I point out in this video, they've actually come from Sue. And she also gave me access to her river restoration course, which has been actually really useful and helped me make this video. And if you're enjoying these videos on rewilding, then I actually recommend that you go and check out their rewilding course. It's online, meaning you can do it wherever and whenever you want. It's introductory too, so you don't have to have like any background knowledge in order to understand it. And they also offer a course on beavers and like a whole bunch of other topics. So like, go and check it out, see what they have for you. If you want to do an online course, use the code 10LeaveCurious to get 10% off. I mean, you know, who doesn't like 10% off anything? And ultimately, there's only so much that I can teach you in these videos, and Ecology Training UK is a way that you can learn more. So throughout this video, I want to propose a game of natural or not. What do you think this is? You're right, it's not natural.
So what exactly have we done to our rivers and why is it a bad thing? Well, it's certainly a complex issue that has many reasons why it's problematic, but it essentially boils down to three core elements. Firstly, we've drained the natural floodplains that would occur either side of a river, turning them to other land uses such as agriculture, industry, and now even housing. Secondly, we've straightened rivers, canalising them to make it easier to transport goods and, quite ironically, to reduce flood risk in specific areas. And thirdly, another huge way we've impacted rivers is by building dams to store and use water. We've done all this to facilitate and empower modern life, but actually, as our climate becomes more unpredictable, we're now facing the consequences. When there's heavy rain, the land we've modified can no longer hold water and it rushes off into our rivers, which cannot deal with the sheer amount of water coming in, and they burst their banks, leading to flooding. And since the land holds little water in times of drought, they completely dry out. And if we've caused these problems, what are the answers? What are some of the solutions?
So I want to get started by telling you a bit of a story about the River Exe here, because right now where we are, it's not great. But a little further downstream, there's been some things unfolding, there's been some restoration works happening. I mean, one thing that is quite nice to see along this like quite harsh concrete area is there's some vegetation establishing. We've got willow species, we've got some grasses, there's a swan too. I don't know if these have been planted, but it's looking nicer.
And don't get me wrong, there were a few of your typical birds along here, swans, mallards and pigeons.
The locals do feed them Rice Krispies, that was fun.
But a little further down the river, we arrive at an area that's seen some big changes.
Well, okay, I thought I literally just saw a salmon leaping out the water there. This is the Trews Weir. Now, there's a bit of a story which unfolded here a few years ago.
There's a few really cool features right here, but they've only really come to be because of this. This is the Salmon Pool Weir, just downriver from the Trews.
Some years ago, the water burst through and they decided not to fix it. This was a smart move. This allowed the river to find its natural flow through.
This meant that back up at the Trews Weir, the water level dropped.
And as the water level dropped, this island was able to form. It just exposed more of the gravel and more of the dirt, and all this vegetation flourished. These islands are an invaluable habitat to nature, and it also allows the river to find new courses around it and through it. So I thought I just saw a salmon leaping out of the water here, and it's the right time of year for it. They could be here. What they built here is they built this little bit here, that is a migratory fish pass. When the salmon are done being out in the Atlantic Ocean, they come back in, they swim up these rivers, and they go up to their native spawning grounds. And these man-made structures, they are mostly impassable for salmon. Salmon are really impressive and they can like leap up waterfalls and cliffs, but sometimes these man-made structures are just a bit too much.
This is cool because yes, there's been some active restoration through constructing a fish pass, but these islands forming that have now introduced a more dynamic flow to the river is actually because of a choice not to act, to not repair something, to be a little bit more passive and let nature do what it wants, and I kind of like that. But the real thing that we need to discuss is
Doop-a-doop-a-doo, is it natural or not? I would say that this is it's getting there. Yeah, it's pretty natural now.
And just at the side of the Trews Weir is a really awesome new wetland area that's fed by the river. It actually flows right through it.
So this is the head, this is the point here where the water flows in into the new wetland area over there. It looks like whatever contraption this is, it just kind of lifts and it lets water come through and in. This whole landscape, from my understanding, was just like grasslands. It was still quite a natural landscape, but the key thing was that the river didn't flow through here.
This is cool because it acts as a floodplain, but it also creates new habitat, a new route for the river to flow.
So this new river along this floodplain is actually quite young. I think it was only done in the past like 4 or 5 years, and it's been cut to mimic this like natural winding shape. And to be honest, it seems like they could do with allowing a little bit more water to come through. It just seems a little bit dry, but it hasn't been raining that much. But this gets me thinking, how many single straight boarded up rivers are there where you've got this patch of green near them where you could allow it to sort of flow off and into?
But the key question remains,
is it natural or is it not? I would say that this is actually pretty damn natural now. So in this one you get windswept Rob. I actually came to Exeter like a couple weeks ago to make this video. It's really hot. That was sweaty Rob, but what also happened there was I got back and I realised that all my footage sounded like this. So I had to come back and remake the video.
And if that's not dedication worthy of a subscribe, I don't know what is.
Alright, so we've seen how people can begin to restore rivers to a more natural state. Now, let's go and find out how nature can do it for itself. And yes, I'm talking about beavers.
When it comes to river engineering, there is no other animal with greater natural ability than the beaver. Biologically, they are designed for it. It's in their instincts. Behind the scenes of this video, I'd spent days exploring, trying to find some incredible beaver habitat. And I knew that if I was persistent, I would eventually find it.
So about 15 years ago, beavers popped up in Devon. Now, no one knows for sure how they got here. They could have escaped or they could have been released, illegally released. However they got here, the government wanted to get rid of them straight away. They said, no, we can't have beavers in our landscapes, let's get rid of them. But then the Devon Wildlife Trust said, hold on a minute. Let's just wait and see. Let's see what they do. Let's do a 5-year trial and let's manage their impacts and really just understand what it would be like to live with these creatures again. And so began the River Otter Beaver Trial. And ultimately the trial was a success and the beavers were allowed to stay, and now they've just moved up and down the River Otter and its tributaries. And now I've come to a spot where I think we should be able to see some good beaver habitat.
The beavers came back to the River Otter, and in the town of Otterton, you stand a pretty good chance of seeing them here. But there's actually something really cool happening here now. Adjacent to the river, all of these fields are now to become wetlands. It's all going to be one huge rewilded wetland floodplain landscape. It doesn't look like much right now, but give it time and it will be epic. A little further upstream, my efforts were about to pay off.
Oh, okay. We've got ourselves our first beaver dam here. Now this is just a little quiet stream, but look at how well they've dammed this up. So beavers, they build dams because they feel that they're safest when they're in the water. The dam pulls the water behind it, and this allows them to hide from predators. It allows them to access vegetation a lot more easily, always with a safe retreat back into the water. Now, unlike man-made concrete dams, beaver dams are cool because they actually allow the water to percolate through. They leak through. Sure, it holds some of it back, so in periods of high rainfall, you're not going to get those flash floods coming through. They hold the water and then they allow it to pass through much more slowly. And in the game of natural or not, I don't think it gets much more natural than a beaver dam. If I just make it through these, ow, 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 ow. There's another dam here. Wow. Okay, so now I'm at the back of the dam, which you saw, and there's just a pond forming here. They've got another dam here too. I'm loving this. It's awesome. They've also put like quite big stones in there as well. I mean, I got absolutely stung getting down here, but it's worth it. Oh, I'm excited. Let's go see what more we can find. Ouch. Okay, there's something of like a natural pathway down here. Let me show you. Whoops. See, look, all of this squash vegetation. This is just some beavers coming through here, you know? They're trying to see what's up. Oh, look at this, like a whole big bit of willow here. Yeah, look, you can see they've just like chomped straight through that. Whoops. Crikey, I'm falling over everything here. Whoops. I think this pathway leads down to the water, and I am very excited for what could be around here. Oh man, look at this beaver habitat. Look at that. I had stumbled upon exactly what I was looking for. A beaver pond, a beautiful mess of felled trees, flooded woodland, and of course, a pretty epic beaver dam. Now you can actually see how this dam is purifying the water. It's capturing all of this sediment here, look. As the dam comes through, look at all of this sediment and stuff. It just captures it as it comes through. And I can't get down to it, but the water the other side, it's just clean gravels. And why is this important? Well, for spawning fish, when they come up to lay their eggs, they rely upon having clear gravels. Now yes, of course, beavers can bring us so many benefits to our cities. They can prevent flooding, they can keep water in our lands, but what they do for biodiversity, like where I am right now, it is like rocket fuel. Not only do they introduce water into areas where there wouldn't be, but when they do that and they start felling trees, it creates this structural diversity, and it's just this like perfect cocktail for nature to thrive. What would really top this day off is if I actually saw some beavers, but they're crepuscular. They're most active at dawn and at dusk and through the night. And I tried my luck quite recently on the River Otter.
I'd headed down about 9 PM and started to walk along the river. Last year when I saw some, it was almost too easy. Instead of looking for beavers, because this is such a well-known spot, you really just need to spot the people who have already found them. But for whatever reason, there wasn't that many people looking for beavers. I guess for some bizarre reason, they had something better to do with their Saturday night. I spent a good hour looking, but ultimately it just got too dark for my camera to work, so I decided to call it a night.
So I think if we are to restore our rivers, the fundamental thing is we have to allow them space. Because you're never going to get beaver habitat flourish when there's another beaver route through there. You can see they've been walking through there. Look, you can see there's like a pathway. You're never going to get beavers when you don't allow space for trees to grow and for water to flood. So this is much easier to do in our more natural and greener spaces. It's harder to do in our cities, but I don't think that's a reason why we shouldn't try. I mean, think about it. In our cities, we do miraculous things. We engineer buildings, all kinds of infrastructure and utility. Like, why can't we just, like, along our rivers, take away the buildings, take away the man-made stuff, and just allow some space for nature? There's a big old beaver pond just through there. I don't know how I'm going to get to it without getting absolutely destroyed. I get hay fever, by the way. It's kind of a curse for someone who loves nature so much to be allergic to it. No, it's all good. I found a bit of a route towards it. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it and leave a comment down below. Do you have beavers in your area? What are the rivers like in your area? I love to chat with you guys. And remember, if you wanna be part of Leave Curious and support us a little bit more here, then you can become a member and gain access to exclusive video content. I'm doing all kinds of stuff now there. So yeah, go and check that out. Oh, and also if you want to get into nature and rewilding, perhaps do some training, do some courses, go and see what Ecology Training UK have for you too. And yeah, I mean, I've had so much fun making this one. I hope that comes through on camera. I mean, just look at this habitat. Thanks for watching. Live curious.